You know how it is. We've all been there. You get this burst of inspiration. You decide to start a new habit. You're going to exercise more, learn a new language, meditate every morning. But then, after just a few days, it just peters out. Well, what if I told you there's a simple, science-backed sentence that can literally more than double your chances of making that habit stick?
Okay, so let's just get right into it. We're always told that to succeed, we need more motivation, right? Or we need more willpower. But what if that's not the real problem at all? What if the actual key to building better habits is something completely different? And that brings us to what you could call the motivation myth. We beat ourselves up for not having enough drive or grit. But there was this fascinating experiment that tells a totally different and frankly, much more hopeful story. So let's rewind to 2001. A group of researchers in Great Britain rounded up 248 people for a 2-week study. And their goal was really simple. They wanted to figure out what actually helps people build a consistent exercise routine.
The way they set this whole thing up is pretty clever, and it led to this huge discovery about what really makes us act. So let's break down exactly what they did. All right, so they split everyone into 3 groups. The first group was the control group. They were just told, hey, for the next 2 weeks, just track how often you work out. Simple enough. Group 2 was the motivation group. They also had to track their exercise, but they were also given all this material to read about the amazing health benefits of working out. And then there was Group 3. They got the same deal as Group 2, track your exercise, read the motivational stuff, but with one tiny little addition. They had to write down a specific plan for when and where they were going to exercise.
So, think about it for a second. Which group do you think did the best? The no-frills control group? The group that got pumped up with all that motivational reading? Or the group that just had to make a simple little plan? Okay, check this out. The results, well, they weren't even close. The control group, the ones who just tracked their exercise, had a 38% success rate. But here's the crazy part. The motivation group, they only had a 35% success rate. All that reading about the benefits of exercise did basically nothing. But then you look at Group 3, the planners. They were playing a completely different game. An incredible 91% of the people in that third group exercised at least once a week. I mean, just let that sink in for a moment. 91%. That's more than double the success rate of the other 2 groups. So what was this magic trick? It all came down to the power of having a plan. And it turns out this isn't just a fluke. It's a well-studied psychological technique. It's called an implementation intention. Now, that's a fancy name for a really simple idea. It just means you make a plan beforehand about when and where you're going to act. The key is that you are linking your goal to the 2 most powerful cues in our lives, time and location. And seriously, it was this simple. The only thing that wildly successful group did differently was fill in the blanks on this one sentence. They decided on the day, the time, and the place ahead of time. See, they didn't just have a vague goal. They gave that goal a time and an address in the real world. And this right here is the core idea of this whole explainer. It's not that we lack motivation most of the time. What we really lack is clarity. Our goals are just too fuzzy. So, the big question is, how do we get that clarity for ourselves? Well, we can turn this powerful insight into a super easy-to-use formula that you can apply to literally any goal you have. The whole strategy just boils down to filling in these 3 blanks. I will do this behavior at this specific time in this specific location. That's it. That's the formula. So let's run through a few examples. A vague hope like, I should probably meditate more, becomes a concrete, undeniable plan. I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my kitchen. See, now it has a time and a space to live. There's no ambiguity left. And of course, this works for any habit you can think of. I want to learn Spanish someday is a nice dream, but I will study Spanish for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in my bedroom. Now that's a plan. You've completely removed all the guesswork. And just to bring this all full circle, let's apply it back to the original study. I really want to work out more transforms into I will exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. in my local gym. Can you feel the difference? That clarity is what pushes you to action. And the power of this strategy, choosing clarity over just hoping for motivation, it goes way beyond just your personal habits. It's a fundamental principle for actually getting anything done. And the science on this is overwhelming. I mean, we're talking hundreds of studies showing that these implementation intentions dramatically increase the chances that people will follow through on everything, from voting to getting their flu shots
to even quitting smoking?
This is really the big mental shift we're talking about here. You're transforming a foggy notion like, oh, I should vote, into a solid plan of action. You're turning I'll write more someday into I will write 500 words at 8 a.m. at my desk. It just shuts down the part of your brain that makes excuses.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. A clear plan removes the need to make decisions in the moment. When the time comes to act, you don't have to debate with yourself or summon some heroic amount of willpower. You just follow the plan you already made for yourself. You're basically putting your good intentions on autopilot. It's such a simple tool, but it has such profound results. It really makes you stop and think about all the vague goals floating around in your own life that could probably use a little dose of this clarity. So I'll just leave you with this one question. What's the first plan you're going to make?